Hey, what's going on, folks? Welcome back to the Real Legend of Gaming. We are back with another episode of Clash Royale. Now, folks, a couple things going on this weekend. First and foremost, a new card has released, and that is the Wall Breakers. I did a video previously about that, and you guys know that it is a kind of underwhelming card, but now we get to actually test it out and see gameplay, right? Initial reaction is just what I saw during the reveal and what I've seen so far online from, people sharing clips. But other than that, we get to get a first impressions with the card. So definitely jump into the challenge and try to unlock it, all right? Now, this video, we are going to be going over a deck that I discussed last week. It's a 2.8 Hog Cycle Deck. And folks, I really like this deck in this meta. And I'm actually considering using it for the rest of the season. So let me know in the comment section, what is your best strategy when picking a deck? What do you guys look for? How long do you use the deck for? And when do you decide that this is going to be my deck? Because you guys know I go through so many different decks. One, because I like to create content for you guys and show you different decks in the meta. And two, I like to play all types of decks in every archetype. So it's a very tough dilemma for me. But again, I'm really feeling this deck. So let me know in the comment section, what's your strategy around picking a deck? Let me know what you guys think about the Wall Breakers. And I'm going to let you know how this deck works, all right? So let's get into our first replay, folks. All right, so here we are, folks. This is a replay that I thought was actually pretty cool because it was up against a deck that normally will give a lot of people trouble because one has got Barbarians. Barbarians can quickly shred through my Knight and can quickly shred my Hog Rider. It also has a Miner, which is going to force me to have to defend against that chip damage cycle as well. And then additionally, it has a Giant Skeleton, which is a problem when you're stacking units. And it has the Balloon, which if I don't have the right air units to support, it's going to catch me off guard and do a lot of damage. So we'll go back to the match here right now. I explained the premise around choosing this replay. We pretty much defended that push on both sides. And essentially, the reason why I love this deck so much is that it does create an opportunity to make up for errors. Because it's a cycle deck, you can constantly go back to a push. My favorite push with the deck really is the Knight with the Musketeer. And then obviously the Hog Rider is just a unit that you can use once you see that the main defense against is out the way. Again, we see another counter here, the Minion Hordes. The Minion Hordes can definitely shred up my entire push. So once that we save the Fireball for immediate threats like the Minion Horde and the Wizard and other things like that, or even the Barbarians, it gives us an opportunity to constantly rotate back to that Musketeer Knight push. And then with the Skeletons and the Ice Spirit, it really gives you more chances to defend. It buys you a few more seconds of time if you're able to kite, which will allow you again to cycle back to either the Hog Rider or the Knight and Musketeer push, which I keep emphasizing, but that is what I really like to use. Alright, so now that the Hog Rider is being thrown down, right, we know that the Minion Horde was out, and we know that the Barbarian was out, so we can sneak in some chip damage. We'll use the Fireball there to get rid of that Wizard, because we know that the Wizard is a pain. We got rid of the Miner. Now we can use the Cannon to buy us a little bit more time to draw out the Musketeer so that we can stop this Balloon. The Balloon could do some damage against the tower, right? It's not ideal, but the main thing is to not have it lingering around your towers where it can do double the drop, because that will insanely do a lot of damage. So again, right there, we use our cheap units to kind of stunt what was going on. Give us an opportunity to bring out a Fireball, which we're going to be able to use to buy us some more time again to drop down our Knight and Musketeer, while the Hog Rider sneaks in and does some damage. We'll use the Ice Spirit. Again, now there's double elixir time. This cycle deck is even sweeter. So we're just bringing back everything that the enemy is pushing, because all we need to do right now is just lock down a win. We already got a tower, so we can stop that Balloon, stop the Minion Horde. We're going to be okay. And that, folks, that is really why I like this deck so much, because it gives you so many options. It really, for one, allows you to control the pace of the match. I know it's a cycle deck, but I would even go on a Someone Live and call it a control deck too. only because you're able to stop your opponent's push, not necessarily by overwhelming them with attacks, but really by just dropping down the ice bird in a certain spot, using one elixir skellies to move away, dropping down the cannon to draw away. You know, you're doing a lot of drawing away and kiting. So that's pretty much why I like the deck and I want to continue using it. So what I'm going to do is show you one more replay, and then if you guys can, in the comment section, let me know what kind of decks you want to see in the future. Because again, I like using different types. I've seen a really nice Mega Knight deck, so if you guys want that to be featured next week, then let me know. All right, so let's get into one more replay, and then at the end, we'll wrap up and pretty much take it from there. All right, cool, folks. Here goes the second replay. This one here is against a variation of a bridge spam deck. There's so many P.E.K.K.A bridge spam decks right now in the meta. It's crazy. And, you know, I still have the same stance on this deck. It's tough to defend against, but once you figure out that they're doing a bridge spam deck, it makes it a little bit easier. But obviously the P.E.K.K.A is going to be a menace, right? Because it can easily take out my Musketeer, it can take out my Hog, and at least now with the buff to the Knight, it takes a few more hits to take them out. But even so, it's still a tough matchup. All right, so we're going to use the same thing, Knight Musketeer combo. And that cannon there wasn't ideal. I should have dropped it a little bit higher. But we made it work, right? It was a slip of the finger. It happens, right? So now we're going to try to do some chip damage with the Musketeer. And the Bandit, really, if we could just drop down our Knight in front or something, we can minimize the damage that we use. And there we go. We're going to go again with the Knight Musketeer push. And I'm hoping that I can sneak in the Skellies, which we were able to do against the Battle Ram, and then we'll use the log to slow it down and break off the Ram so that the Musketeer can chip away at the Barbarians. Dark Goblin 2 is another problem, and now that I realize this deck is kind of also a bait deck too, so I got to be very careful with my usage of the log, because if not, the Battle Ram will really do a hurting on my tower. So we drop down the Knight. The Knight easily takes care of the Bandit. And we're just trying to cycle through cards, so the Skellies are just pretty much being used as a distraction, pretty much, right? Alright, so now we're just waiting to see what the opponent does. Remember, with this deck, you don't necessarily have to wait for your elixir count to fill up. If you see an opportunity to punish, you can do it. But because I know they're playing P.E.K.K.A, I want to be well prepared. So there goes the Ram. We're going to use the cannon mainly to keep it away from my tower, and then we're able to drop down the Knight. The Knight is the main defense, right? You always got to drop it down in front of your Musketeer and your Hog. So there goes the log. We can use it because we already saw the the Battle Ram come out. So that was safe to use, right? And at this point, we just want to defend and finish this match with chip damage from the Fireball and essentially the log too. So we're defending, we're keeping the P.E.K.K.A away, we're keeping the minions away. Fireball cleans that up. In that case there, we had to defend, so we didn't use it against the tower. But again, because it's a cycle deck, you're able to quickly come up with a solution on the fly. Hog Rider sneaks right in. Good Fireball by the opponent. That kept my Hog Rider from doing damage against his tower. That Hog Rider would have been able to do at least 2 hammer strikes. Musketeer takes care of that baby dragon. And we're going to drop down the Knight once again. With the Ice Spirits, it allows us to throw the Fireball, slows down the P.E.K.K.A, and the Knight is doing a pretty good job of getting damage done. It gives us an opportunity to drop down the cannon. Musketeer is back in for some action, and again, Knight in front, distracts the P.E.K.K.A, distracts the Bandit, does damage against the Battle Ram. Skellies is working in there, and the Hog Rider is sneaking in for the kill like a thief at the night. So right there does damage. Tower down to 325, folks. I think we're in a good predicament. Fireball, log, game over. The sweetness of this deck, once it's double elixir time, this thing quickly turns into like a 1.3, well, actually 1.4 cycle deck. So imagine how often you're going to be throwing out cards, all right? So that's it. Thanks for the support. If you guys watched this far, you guys are awesome. That's 1. And 2, then slap the like button, subscribe for more Clash Royale content, along with my Hanging with DRL podcast episodes with builds and guides and reviews for other games. All right, so other than that, peace out.